Hey, everybody. Nevin Gusak, your host of the Populist Patriot. Just doing another live stream. I wanted to talk about some news here again. House approves bill to ban gasoline price gouging, but it's unlikely to pass in Senate. And it's an article on in Forbes dated May 19th, 2022. The writer is Kaylee Drago. And it looks like this is the bill, Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act. And down here in Florida, by the way, the gas is creeping near $5. I saw it at an Exxon station on the way to this car dealer that I was going to get my car service. It was already like $5.09 in. I think it was an Exxon Mobil station in Delray Beach. I mean, it's unthinkable. I remember when I first got my car was $1.34 back in the late 1990s when I actually started to learn how to drive when I was in my early 20s. So, uh, things have gone a long way downhill, and the price of gas has steadily been going up, not down, by the way, at least in my lifetime. Every Republican voted against it, as well as also four Democrats who tended to be probably corporate Democrats: Stephanie Murphy of Florida, Lizzie Fletcher, Texas, go figure, Kathleen Rice in New York, and Jared Golden in Maine. They voted no. And this legislation would give President Joe Biden the power to make it illegal for gasoline to be sold at, quote, unconscionably excessive prices, and would let the Federal Trade Commission seek penalties if evidence pointed to an unfair uptick in gas prices. Well, I would say there's an unfair uptick in gas prices. But to Joe Biden, let's shit on Joe Biden a little bit. Joe Biden, old Joe, Joe the Dolt Biden, well, he's just like, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, all he's not using the bully pulpit like a FDR to say, look, you got to pass this bill and everything. He's not strong arming his own Congress to do anything about this or whatnot. Other presidents in times of national crisis, they have strong armed their representatives uh, to improve living standards for the people. I mean, you look at how President Franklin Roosevelt pushed through the New Deal, or LG Lyndon Baines Johnson, excuse me. Let me get another sip of coffee here. How he got valuable aspects of his great society through, or on the negative side, look how Clinton strong arm elements of the Democratic Party and Congress into voting for NAFTA with all kinds of giveaways and threats and whatnot. Joe Biden didn't do anything about this. So, and what's even worse is that there were four Democrats who voted against this bill. However, it's unlikely it did pass the House, which at least is a good news, but it's not expected to pass the Senate because the bill would need the backing of 10 Republican senators plus every Democratic senator. So basically, there are going to be no Republicans that will support it because they consider this bill erroneously as socialism, which typical Republican BS. And, Democrats, well, you're going to have people like Joe Manchin, for example, that's going to vote against it. I mean, he doesn't really, when it comes to when the rubber meets the road, uh, he's not going to be backing the better interests of of average Americans. So, but meanwhile, the oil companies Shell, ExxonMobil, BP, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips, they earned over $35 billion in combined profits in the first quarter of this year, 2022. And this is up 300% from the same period in 2021. However, many experts are wary of blaming alleged price gouging for the increase in prices, instead shifting blame to market forces, and that's what the Congressman Murphy and others are talking about. Clinton era Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. Oh my God. Anything he says is garbage. He's the one that gives us deregulation and free trade globalism. Says that permanent normal trade relations with China was good and everything. So Larry Summers is the last person I would listen to on economics. He called the price gouging bill, quote, dangerous nonsense. And then, of course, House Minority Whip Steve Scalise of Louisiana, his Republican, called the bill, quote, a socialist price fixing scheme that hurts small businesses and consumers the most. Well, your free market paradise, Mr. Scalise, of largely unregulated corporate capitalism is screwing consumers and screwing small businesses, including truckers. You know, truckers are having to pay a lot more money for diesel, which is unconscionably more expensive. And yet, oil corporations are making hand over fist profits, and they're not even in the business. They're not even exploring more. They're not refining. They're not producing more. They're not drilling more. Instead, as we talked about in the last live stream of today, they're all much of that money is being reinvested into stock buybacks. And this again, reason why stock buybacks and other forms of over financialization of the economy brought to by in the Reagan years and the Clinton and Bush years, George W. Bush, that is, it all needs to end. There needs to be a new government put in place, a new state and economic structure put into place where the federal executive has the power within a 5-year period to abolish these forms of deregulation, which has ruined our economic standing. It has ruined national security. It's ruined and uh, heavily tampered or screwed with our social structure, our sense of national and social solidarity. It all needs to end. And that's the only way this problem is going to be solved, when the fundamentals of the economy are addressed. The root cause of all these problems are addressed at its root, and that the Reaganism is finally extirpated from the economy. And that's the only way the consumer, at the end of the day, and small businesses will benefit. And Mr. Scalise, if you want to call this socialist price fixing, fine. What we're doing is actually restoring checks and balances to capitalism, which will actually prevent more and more Americans from embracing socialism and the ideas of the far left, because they see that unregulated or poorly regulated corporate capitalism is failing the American public. So I conclude that this live stream on that note, and I'm going to be doing a couple of more quick live streams. Thank you for joining us.